Which profession attracts the worst kinds of people? Story 1. Tow truck drivers. At least 80% of all the tow truck drivers I've met have been felons, and about 98% have been shady dickheads. I had an accident on the highway a few years ago. It was a multiple car collision, and nobody got hurt. But I remember a couple of towing truck drivers literally fighting each other to take my car even though it was fully drivable. One of them told me that we just needed to get it out of the highway, and he would release it right away. I fell for it and let him take it. Well, he lied. He didn't want to release my car until I paid him $500. Story 2. I'm probably going to get some hate for this, the military, the US Army to be precise. Probably 99% of the soldiers are good, honest people. The nature of the job just simply attracts some sickos. The Army does what it can, but it takes a long time to kick someone out of the Army. Source: 6 years active duty. I worked for 32 years, civil service, on naval and Air Force bases. The problem with the military is just keeping enough bodies, so they ignore or put up with some of the worst people. I agree, most of the military are decent people, but there is a small percentage that are absolute psychopaths. I've seen one guy who was a serial cheater go up on charges of molesting an underage girl. He knew her father and blackmailed him. He had cheated too, to testify against his own daughter. Both guys retired, no repercussions. One guy was sexually harassing women in his position. He got moved out of that position, no repercussions. It's shit like this that makes me respect the leadership less. Story 3. Unpopular opinion, but nurses. There is a lot of toxic, abusive high school girl drama type behavior among nurses. It's such an important job, and about half the people doing it shouldn't be responsible for a yogurt, let alone a human being's life. It's like cops for women. It's a job that highly praises traits that a lot of women like to be perceived as having. It affords a lot of petty power and respect, and it gives them an excuse for being a miserable piece of shit. It was weird how all of the mean girls from my high school went to college for nursing. Story 4. The executives that run MLMs. They're all bullies and manipulators. The worst kind of people that will tell you that your brother's funeral is a good place to recruit investors. I'm a consultant who had those executives as a client, and I promise this is correct. When our HR expert told them that they needed a policy on diversity, equality, and inclusion, the CEO responded that they didn't need anyone in DC telling them how to run their company. Like, the HR expert wasn't even saying they needed it in an ethical way. Just that they needed it to avoid lawsuits. The CEO still refused. So, legally exposing yourself to own the libs seems like a pretty awful type of person. Story 5. Stockbrokers. I have some friends who are stockbrokers. I love them, but man, they are some bullshit artists. And not like, oh, they're a good salesman and could sell you anything. No, it's like they make shit up as they go along and try to sound confident in what they say. I have met a couple people who were successful, lifelong stockbrokers. To be a successful lifelong stockbroker, you actually have to like what you do. They all had crazy eyes. Each and every one of them. That'll be the cocaine. Story 6. Realtors. I have had a few friends that have become realtors later in life. The ones that stayed with it totally changed who they are. After a few years, they are hardly recognizable as the same people. Vain, shallow, and 100% of the time they are in character and trying to sell. Story 7. Elementary school front desk administrators. The trouble is the shit they see. My sweet as pie mother was one, and the number of non-custody parents who tried to check out a kid they had no right to take, and would get violent or aggressive when she said, "I can't let you by law." Or the number of absolute psychos who would try to sneak their way into the school, or the number of parents who didn't come to pick up their kid for hours after school ended and she had to decide between traumatizing the kid by calling the police or sitting there for hours after her shift ended to ensure the kid wasn't alone outside the office. Dude, the job is rough. Story 8. My mom worked in a prison. She said that a lot of the men in there for sex offenses against children were looking for jobs like driving ice cream vans, dressing as Santa at shopping centers, etc., as they liked kids sitting on their laps, etc. Apparently, it's way more common than people would think. I was a correctional officer, and the people who were in for the worst crimes were always the nicest, most respectful inmates and looked very normal, whatever normal is really. I think that's what was always really creepy. I befriended a guy in county jail, the only person willing and interested in playing Scrabble in a room full of 50-plus guys. He was kind, giving, incredibly smart and cultured, and I just assumed he was in for something like a DUI or the like. On my way out, I was in holding with another guy who was in the pod with us, and he informed me that David was about to stand trial for molesting his 3 daughters, aged 5, 9, and 12. He got 12 years, it's been about that long, wonder if he made it out alive. Story 9. I thought I wanted to be an architect, but then I met a bunch of architects, architecture students, and architecture professors. And they were pretty much all assholes. It was weird, I mean, how could it be so consistent? But there you have it. I was briefly in a program in the architecture school at a university I went to, and it was my first time being in an art program with real critiques. You'd get absolutely torn apart, but if you could learn to not take it personally, it was an incredibly fast and accurate way to learn where and how to improve. I still think I have lingering negative effects from it though, but I'm also appreciative of that experience. Nowadays, I'd much rather have a scathing critique than a soft one because soft critiques often feel like a waste of time. Oh, but fuck the professor I had who told the entire class he thought we were all terrible and would fail at his class and as artists, and who later made us cut up a project to prove a point about how clients will make you adjust your work. His methods produced results, but hurt way too many people in the process, and in my opinion would have been much better off easing up a bit. Story 10. I'm a casino dealer. People losing money brings out the worst qualities in them. Especially when I deal high-limit games. Plus, the pit boss/supervisors won't throw a person out who is literally spending thousands. Doesn't matter what they do or say. The casino doesn't want to lose those kinds of patrons. They're catered to. They can be so awful to the dealers. The job has made me look at humanity in a completely different light. Pro relationship tip: bring a date to the casino and see how they treat the dealer if they're losing. You'll see what kind of person they really are. I have about 10 years of experience in the industry. Story 11. Substance abuse mental health professionals seem to fall into one of the following categories: A. Wonderful, angelic and highly competent souls who truly want to help drug addicts/alcoholics. There may be 20% of the counselors, optimistically. B. Burnt out incompetent/lazy/don't care types, another 60%. Or C. Absolute personality disordered, narcissistic/Machiavellian sadistic types who really get off on the enormous power/control they have over the lives and fates of the people under their care, maybe another 20%. The last group can do a lot of damage.